Okay. Hi, everybody. This is episode 710, something to that effect. It's our super zoo edition of Positive Impact. Oof. I'm here, Laura from the Kind Pet. Laura, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your brand?
So I'm Laura. I'm one of the co-founders of the Kind Pet. We are a sustainable pet store and resource dedicated to reducing um, our pets' impact and our own on the planet. We're really, pro pet sustainability and trying to just kind of educate people on making better choices when it comes to their pets and their own purchase behavior.
Love it. We met. I believe it was it Global this year? It was
Yes,
a big pet
yes,
food
it was.
convention, pet retail convention. For those of you
Yeah.
unfamiliar, Laura and her co-founder Jennifer were like wonderful immediate connections for us as another sustainable brand. Laura, you want to start with like how you got into this? Like, I think everyone
Oof.
has a cool pet origin story.
Yeah, so just for backstory, so Jennifer and I own an agency, a Shopify agency, and Jennifer and I had worked together for like 7 years on her own Shopify stores. And she's always been in the natural space. Her son actually had really severe eczema when he was a baby. And she decided to create this eczema store with all these different products that she was using on her son that she wanted to share with everyone else. And I helped her, scale that store to what it is today. And that's kind of like how we met. And we've been friends ever since. So during the pandemic, I got a cat, and Jen and I were just talking about, you know, sorry to say, the crap out there in the
Sure.
pet industry and like all the different plastics and how wasteful everything was. And we kind of just talked about creating a business together, and the Kind Pet was kind of just born out of this necessity for sustainability, because unfortunately there's still so little sustainable products in the pet industry. And that's why we were so excited to meet brands like Arch, who are trying to make a difference.
I yeah, I it's really interesting, right? There's this notion, and I think it's one that like we're built on, and you are as well. It's companion animals. Um, they're amazing family members, and it's almost like we forget about there's just like the footprint that they might have. And
Yep.
part of that, I think, is like a wellness thing. Everybody wants to make sure that whatever they do is for the best or benefit of the animal. And you kind of forget that, like, maybe plastics or maybe processed ingredients aren't the best, despite being like the most accessible. Do you have any like wow stats? I love it when people like give me a stat that I can use at dinner parties about like the toys or the some of the items you carry on the websites.
Yeah, so we were looking at different statistics on pet waste, and a lot of the stats that came out or that we were researching were centered around pet food. And one that's pretty good, I mean, not great for the environment, but pretty good tidbit to share with people at a dinner table is that 64 million tons of carbon dioxide are dumped into the atmosphere per year, and that's just on pet food alone. So just imagine what like the plastics from the production of pet toys, pet waste, all that's pushing into the atmosphere. So that's
Sure.
one that we like to share.
As like a point on that, I'll give you one that I heard, and I was like, oh, I
Oh
don't.
God, I'm
So like,
scared.
I mean, we always talk about like the footprint of traditional livestock. Everyone knows that like red meat equals super terrible for the environment. Um,
Yeah,
but there's this notion that like fish is better, and we use some fish products. We use like the silver, the Asian carp, which is an invasive species, naturally caught or naturally like available. But there's the stat that I heard on it was from Eating Our Way to Extinction, I think is the name from the documentary. But it's like 90% of ocean plastics are related to commercial fishing adventures, like ventures. So
yeah.
like this notion that like even what like you consider to be like a sustainable protein, fish, is like contributing tremendously
Yeah,
to plastic waste.
Yeah, fish farming is extremely unsustainable.
Yeah. Which you're like, oh, is there any good proteins? Like, is there a way to do this that's not super awful? And there is. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, but like, it's like
Yeah,
cool.
it's tough. It's really tough. And then it comes down to like allergies too. The livestock protein, obviously, there's a lot of allergies within that, but I mean, who knows whether alternatives can produce allergies as well. Also, it's just like when you think about it, a lot of pet parents want to feed their pets similar proteins to what they eat. So whether they're eating
Yeah.
like beef or chicken or fish, they feel like their dog or their cat should be eating something similar. And I think and this is what you guys are trying to do, I think, and other brands are really trying to bring in alternative proteins and alternative ingredients, to show that there's different options out there. Not every dog a cat has to reach for, an actual protein because they're carnivores, but a dog can sustain
Omnivores.
itself. Yeah, it can completely sustain itself.
Preach. I'm gonna do my like neural street theme. Um, I okay. So I want to hear about Penny. So like we always
Oh
cover like
God.
other founders, pets. I so if you want to give a quick like you have a cat and a dog, is that right?
I have a cat and a dog. I have Penny, who is she's gonna be 2 years. Oh, she's gonna be 2 years at the end of August, actually, which is crazy. But 2-year-old, almost to be 2-year-old German Shepherd Lab. And then I have a Scottish Straight um, cat named Charlotte. Scottish
You
Straight is the same as a Scottish Fold. It just has straight ears.
So here's the question, and this is the one I always ask when people have pets. Like, how do you incorporate sustainability, or how do you incorporate like part of your founder journey into your pets?
So it actually started prior to even ever founding the Kind Pet. I lived in Toronto during the pandemic, and when I first got Charlotte, I was looking for mainly all sustainable products. And a big reason for that was because of Jen. She's always been kind of like on the natural path and like has always encouraged me and has obviously motivated me in leading a more sustainable lifestyle just because we've been friends for so long. So I was trying to find stuff out there, and there's a lot of there's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's stuff that is still being marketed as eco-friendly or sustainable when it really isn't. And you quickly find that a lot of stuff is not made locally, not made in the US or made in Canada, where I am. So you kind of start thinking, okay, well, what, what, how do I define sustainability for myself? Is it going to be, a product that's made here or a handmade product that, hires fair trade workers?
Hmm.
Is it using sustainable materials? Is it using materials that you could compost? There's a lot of factors that go into sustainability. It's not a one all. And I think what I've tried to do over the years is just try and find some sort of sustainability that fits for myself and that's practical for my life. And don't get me wrong, there's still times that I like reach for something that's not as sustainable just for convenience sake. And I think all of us as sustainable pet owners try not to do that, but sometimes it just happens. Um, but yeah, I think the biggest issue I've had when coming to Charlotte is finding the perfect litter, like sustainable litter. And there's so many different options out there. All sustainable options that come in plastic bags for the most part.
Mm.
So, but I think to myself, okay, well, at least I'm using a sustainable or recyclable, a recycled fiber, sustainable like ingredients. For example, right now, I think we're doing like a corn or cassava a cassava type litter, um, which it's always been difficult finding like the perfect litter for her that does everything it's supposed to do, like natural litters. But I'm totally digressing. But I think cat litter has probably been the most difficult thing to find when switching to a sustainable journey. And mostly everyone I know goes for like the silica gel litters. And part of me is just like, oh, I just wish there was like a sustainable version of that. And it's just, it's awful. But I would never, ever, ever reach for a silica based litter.
Sure. Maybe the solution is just training your cat to use a toilet.
I think it might be, but also people don't want to do that.
All right. So one of the questions we always ask founders at the end of these calls is things that they want to plug or things that, I guess, opportunities that we're trying to promote. And you have a fun little giveaway that we're doing. So I'll
Yeah.
take.
Yeah, so we're offering a hemp dog bone toy to one lucky winner. Essentially, it is a complete compostable dog toy. So that means if you threw it in your yard and waited probably a couple of years, just because it is hemp and organic cotton, it would completely break down versus like plastic toys that people leave around when they move and those never break down. And they end up if they do ever break down, they end up leaving microplastics into the earth, and no one wants that. The advantage of this also is that dogs who are gentle chewers, they will usually gnaw at these, and you don't have to worry about any of the microplastics going into their tummies and them getting upset by that. So we're really excited to start sharing these. We just produced these in their new color, the ivory color. So we're going to try and get these into different retailers. But in the meantime, we'd love to give one of your listeners.
Yeah, I hope I win. I'm gonna make sure that Luigi keeps my name in the hat. Cool. And then at the end, I don't typically ask this question, but I feel like
Hi, I'm on a call. Okay, well, okay, you want Charlotte on the call? Oh,
she's
now you
in.
wanna
Oh,
leave?
she's blurry. They
Now
think
you
it's
wanna
wallpaper.
leave?
Oh, there she is.
No, she's not. No, it's bad. Okay, just leave it.
And this is, I guess, the last question. Anyone that we
Okay.
want to throw shade to? Anyone that we want to talk like real mean trash about?
Are you serious? I told you about this and you should put it on your podcast. And like, honestly, come at me because it's the truth and it's public knowledge. Earth Rated just
Oh
is
yeah.
entering like a public lawsuit because they labeled their bags, their dog poop bags, as compostable and they're not. So that
Well,
makes everyone's job, every brand's job who's trying to do good and actually put out good products that much harder because they're a massive brand. And for them to do that, that just caused so much distrust around compostable dog poop
we'll uh,
bags and
we'll
misleading
here on the
information.
Positive Impact podcast, we'll fall short of saying it's not compostable. You can do the Luigi sometimes puts the warning. We've done this like literally 3 times when we talk shade. Um, but yes, this creates
Yeah,
great distrust, and like until you see the verdict of the case, right? Like you can't say for sure, but it sounds really awful, and this stuff happens all the time, which is
I
disappointing.
know.
Greenwashing.
I don't know how anyone thinks that they could get away with it. It's crazy.